Good morning and welcome to Unity Way Church. We are so happy that you decided to join us this morning on Sunday. And I am affirming we're going to have a wonderful morning together as we go deeper into truth this morning. And since this is the first Sunday of the month, we have a new affirmation from Wings of Prayer. And this one is again from 1942. And this is July the 3rd. And it's, "The courage of Christ sustains me." The courage of Christ sustains me. Just breathe into that truth. Breathe into that affirmation and know and claim the truth within those words. That when we are in our Christ mind, when we are rooted, we are secure and sustained in all of our activities. And we remember who we are. We are the Christ. And as a Christ, we affirm and know there's only one power and one presence. Only one substance, one life, one joy, one happiness. We're going to be talking about happiness this morning. Those divine ideas are ours to use truly and to marinate our consciousness within. So if you please join me again, the courage of Christ sustains me. I invite you just to become still for a few minutes. And again, breathe into that deep metaphysical truth. We are sustained. No matter what is going on around us, no matter what we see on television, no matter what we read in the newspaper or online, we are sustained by this Christ presence of harmony and love and joy despite appearances. So we affirm this truth this morning not only for our own families and our own life, but also for our country and the world, that we can remember this Sunday that we are the Christ. And we are sustained by that truth. And if you believe in that truth with me, I invite you to please do the mantra we use here at our church, which is, "Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen." The daily word for today is joy. The affirmation is, "Joy is my constant companion." And before we go into the daily word, I just want to vibrationally connect up with Silent Unity and the workers in the Silent Unity Chapel. And I want to tap into that divine idea, which is Silent Unity. Since 1890, someone has been there holding that sacred space, holding that light, sustaining the reality that the Christ presence with all the answers we need to our life circumstances is right here and right now. So again, we hold those workers, we hold the divine idea of Silent Unity in prayer, and we also vibrationally connect up, because in omnipresence there is no here and there is only here. And we affirm that we are flooded with the wisdom, with the love and the illumination of Silent Unity. We work together in unison. And we really know that by being unified in our thoughts and our feelings, we truly transform the vibration of this world and we dial ourselves up. So, and now the daily word. I discover reasons to feel joyful every day, even in the most challenging circumstances. I begin by centering my awareness on the Christ, the divine presence within me. I feel love and peace lift my heart, and possibilities for good fill my thoughts. I am joyous. I may experience joy as exuberance, delight, and wonder. Joy may also come quietly as the peaceful assurance of God's presence wherever I am and whatever I am doing. My awareness of joy brings a glow to even the most ordinary activities of my day. As I engage wholeheartedly in all that is mine to do today, I share my joy with everyone through kind words, a sunny smile, and a warm welcome to everyone I meet. I radiate joy and bless the world with my positivity, happiness, and bliss. And from the Jewish scriptures, the book of Psalms, chapter 118, verse 24. Very famous verse. "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Powerful truth. And if you would please join with me in our affirmation, which is, joy is my constant companion. Powerful, powerful truth tools that we can use any time of the day. We can tap into those divine ideas. This morning we're going to be talking about back to happy, going back to happy. But before we do that, we're going to have our humor, which is a comic. And there are two beautiful tigers, and one says, "Told you not to use Clorox." The other one responds, "Shut up." I love it. I love tigers. Beautiful creatures, kind of like bigger cats, really. This morning, we're again going to be talking about happiness. My question this morning for each and every one of us as we go through this time and talk is, how happy are you in your life? Happiness is a choice that we choose. We choose how we're going to show up. And happiness truly is a choice. So in the title, Back to Happy, what it assumes is that we have been happy before at some time in our life. Even if today we might not be experiencing the greatest amount of joy or happiness, but we have the ability to choose and live from a consciousness of absolute happiness. A little bit of history about the word happiness and happy. In 1520 is really when the word was really used as we use it today in our vernacular. And the word happy or happiness means pleasant and centered, a centered mental state. Think about that. When you are in a happy mood, a happy space within your own consciousness, you see and view the world differently. You are able to truly to respond instead of just reacting. There's a very famous little line that when I was doing my research about happiness, and this is from the 1630s, and this was a very popular saying that they used to say. It's, quote, "Happy as a clam in the mud at high tide, when it can't be dug up and eaten." Those are the humors of past times. Again, the word happiness truly means cheerfulness, centered, elated, peaceful, upbeat, jubilant, thrilled, fortunate. Spiritual people are centered, safe, blessed, and happy. As true students, we need to live in a consciousness of happiness much more than I believe that we do. We really, if we have remembered who we are, should be happy. We need to be happy. It's in our nature. A little bit more research about being in a happy state. People with strong social relationships are happier people, and they live happier lives, and they also live longer. So we need to reevaluate where happiness is showing up in our life and what we can do to seed more of this divine idea in our walk. Again, close relationships provide love, they provide meaning, and increase our own self-worth. Our journey in truth is about self-worth. If you do not respect yourself, no one else is. It starts within. In the Bible, you probably don't know this, did a little bit more research, there's over 800 verses in the Bible that use the word happy in some form. Bet you didn't know that. Some of them are shout for joy, or be glad in the Lord. The word glad and the word joy can also be translated as happy or happiness. But as good metaphysicians, we know this truth. True happiness is inside. It's an inside job. It is within us to define happiness, what happiness means for us, and it is our duty and truly our privilege to live out those understandings in our daily life. Again, happiness has many dynamic layers to it. So true happiness is enjoying living in harmony. Got to live in harmony. Happiness without harmony truly is not really happiness. And when you live in happiness, it affects your body, your mind, and your soul. Do you see how important it is to live a happy Christ life? To engage and truly, every morning before we step out of bed, affirm that I am going to be happy. I am going to be happy. And I'm going to live it out through this day. True happiness is a state of mind. And as good metaphysicians, again, we would say happiness in a state of mind is being in love with yourself, not in a narcissistic way, but being in love with your own divinity. realizing that you have incarnated here in this third dimensional plane to live an exciting life and have a smile on your face. That's truly what good Unity True students should have, a smile on their face. You better have a smile on your face during this lesson. To exist is to be happy. To change is to be mature, and to mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly. Anyone who's done any kind of self-actualization work, of remembering and truly becoming who they believe they want to be, they need to really tap into this divine idea of divine idea of happiness, because it's not only an idea, it's a feeling, it's an energy that wells up within our souls. From the Course in Miracles, we read, I am determined to see things differently. This morning, are you willing to see your life differently? Are you willing to see your life through the lens of happiness? Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to saturate every event, everything that goes on in your 24-hour life for this day? Are you willing to see it differently if it's not being truly seen from the divine idea of happiness? Again, happiness is all about laughter. I've said this before. If you have joy or happiness, you can't really have joy without happiness. They go hand in hand. And that means laughter. We know scientifically and from studies that laughter truly reduces pain. It also increases job performance. It also improves the oxygen flow to our own heart and brain. So I invite you this morning to start laughing. Start laughing and be really happy for where you are in your life right now. And knowing that you've awakened to a point that you can tap into this divine idea of happiness. And you can use it and you can live it. So every activity you do is saturated in this powerful positive energy. And again, laughter is always the best medicine, and we know that for sure. Only I can accept happiness in my own life. No one can be happy for you. We have to choose to be happy, or we can choose to be miserable. Consciously, we choose. So again, this morning, I'd invite all of us to reconsider, do we really live happy lives? Do we believe our lives are happy? And if we don't, we can roll up our sleeve and we can take some of these ideas from this talk and apply them to our daily life. And when I say be happy, I'm not saying a phony happy. I'm truly believing that this divine idea truly is planted in the soil of your subconscious mind, and it sprouts up naturally, and this happiness vibration flows through all of our daily activities. Just like Papa Charlie here. He has his brand new face mask, and Papa Charlie told me last Sunday I did a real good job. So Papa Charlie's doing real fine, and Mother Myrtle is still up inside Unity, and she's doing good too. I had to put a good word in for Papa Charlie. So this morning, let's live joyfully. Let's live in resilience. Let's live healthy. Let's summon within our own souls the power of unconditioned happiness. We can do it. And as repeatable Christ, we have not only the ability to do it, but we should be showing up like this in our everyday life. When we take out the trash cans, when we're going to the mail, when we're parking our car, we're driving on the freeway, rolling up the window, whatever we do, let's do it from a state of divine happiness. A truth practice can get us back to happy. If the practice that you're engaged in daily, because I know as good truth students you're engaged in a daily practice, it must be rooted and centered in happiness. So I invite you to truly go through whatever your activities are in even your meditation practice and realize, is it rooted in happiness? Or maybe you need to put a couple more doses of happiness into the material that you're reading. Because we're here to expand and grow, but also do it in a happy vibration. From the Jewish scriptures, and this is Psalms 116, verses 1 through 2. I love the Lord because he hears my prayers and answers them. Because he bends down and listens. I will pray as long as I breathe. And we know this is symbolic. We know that God does not pray down or bend over when we are praying to him. what it is doing is making this father-mother presence real to us. Because when we pray and have discovered our own indwelling Lord, we know it's from within ourselves that we receive all of our answers. And we know also that in every problem is the seed of its own solution. So this morning, do you feel God close? Do you feel you need God close? Or maybe has part of your prayer routine become dull or lifeless? There's a remedy. Start talking to your inner soul, God self again. See, when we're in alignment, when we are in open dialogue with the Spirit within us, we truly are in a better place. And again, when you're talking to this inner presence of Spirit, it doesn't necessarily have to be in your prayer chair or on your prayer divan or wherever you do your praying. It could be while you're driving the car. It's every thought. Every thought is a prayer. That's how close this presence is within us. So again, I think we should pray in happiness. When's the last time you thought about having a prayer practice in absolute happiness? It's a privilege to pray in a divine understanding of happiness, not only for ourselves, but for all of our loved ones, for all of the people in our country, for all the people of the world, and also in the world in which we live. Happiness truly allows things to grow and again be balanced. So talk to your indwelling happy Creator. Is your God, the God that you pray to, the presence, the principle, is it a happy Creator? I challenge you to reevaluate your idea of the Creator, that God essence, the spiritual essence that you call this Father, Mother, God. And I affirm, and I'm knowing that you are going to be able to shed light on this idea that you have a happy Creator. We do not have a Creator that's angry and upset. We have a happy Creator, powerful because we're created in that divine image and likeness. God's laws are awaiting our happy conversation. Our happy conversation, because then we grow and we expand, and all of our relationships become divine. Because they know when you're in a state of happiness, you share that happiness. It shows up on the tone of your voice. It shows up on the words that you use. It shows up in your aura. People can feel it. They know it. I'd like to share a proverb for you. This is an ancient Chinese proverb, and it is, "In shallow waters, dragons become the sport of shrimps." What I love about this idea is, to me, when I read this truth, it's about context. If you're in a situation or you're coming off a situation or relationship that you were challenged, one of the biggest challenges that really brings frustration in our relationships is seeing the problem way too big. We need to put it back into context. Take a breath, go for a walk. Context is so important, because I'm here to tell you, whatever your problem may be, or you think it is, the God presence we know, the principle that we pray to, as good metaphysicians, we realize and we demonstrate that we're bigger than any problem. We're bigger than any circumstance that crosses our path. We need to remember that all the time. So again, we need big, happy ideas. And I believe big, happy ideas that are practical are also inspirational, and they also are exceptional. We are here to be truly exceptional people. How exceptional do you believe your life is? I don't care if you're going to school, if you graduated from college, I don't care what you're doing. You could be making a cake. Do you do it exceptionally? We are called to that high level and that high standard, and we should be living from that consciousness. So again, the key word this morning is happiness. We have happy ideas, and these happy ideas are also glamorous. And again, the truth is, being practical seldom never fails. Many of the things in our life we've experienced setbacks or, quote, failures. I truly believe that we didn't come at the situation from truly a vibration of absolute happiness. It truly has a way of shifting relationships and circumstances, whether prosperity challenges or even health challenges. We need to be happier. We need to truly claim that as our divine birthright. Aaron Beck, a psychologist, I was doing some research, and he says with anger, this is a very powerful idea. This is from a medical professional, and he says 90% of our anger is mental projection. And we realize as good true students that the world is not coming at us. As good metaphysicians, we are interpreting the world around us. And so if 90% of our anger is mental projection, maybe we need to reevaluate what's going on in our mind. Maybe we need to reevaluate some of the ideas and beliefs that we're holding on to. And only you can do that. And I'd encourage you to do that in a prayer practice, because then it's done in a healthy way. And as the things float up, you can just kind of like with a ladle, you can take off the things that float up and deal with the issues that pop up in your own life. Not all of our lives are truly happy-pappy. We don't live in the world of gummy bears. Sometimes we've been through some real tough situations, but we still can claim the happiness despite the appearances and despite the things that we've had to go through. So again, a happy truth practice can get us back to happy. Let's get back to happy this Sunday. Aristotle, the great philosopher, said, happiness depends on ourselves. Doesn't that just hit you right there in the solar plexus? Happiness depends on ourselves. Where else is happiness going to come from? Having Papa Charlie here is not necessarily going to bring me happiness, not going to bring you happiness. You have to have happiness within you. You have to discover it and rediscover it and claim it this morning. In the Bible, we hear this quote all the time, I am the Lord, I change not. And I like this idea because if we truly believe that the principle which we call God, the one presence and the one power, the one energy, the one light, if we believe that presence is happy, divine happiness is our birthright. Let's live it and let's claim it. I'd like to share with you too, one of the things you can do is pets also are great teachers of happiness, because pets truly demonstrate unconditional happiness. Unchanged by our shape, our size, our age, or however we're showing up. And I know we have a lot of people out there that love pets. Pets are a great way to bring us back to the moment. And you know why pets are great? Because they live in the now moment. See, most human beings live in the past or in the future. Pets live in the now moment. So it's a good teacher for us and brings us back to really the ground of our own being. Our pets, too, also allow us to let our guards down so we can laugh and we can have fun. When's the last time you really laughed, had a belly laugh? When is the last time you looked at your life or in some situation you're dealing with it just seems impossible, and you laughed at it? Kind of put it back in context again. See, the dragons are not so big. They're brought back down because the dragons really are the shrimp ideas of our life when they're put back in proper perspective. I'd like to share a story with you, and this is back to happy. There was a boy whose family was very wealthy. One day, his father took him on a trip to the country, out in the country, where he aimed to show his son how poor people live. They arrived to a very poor family in their farm, and they stayed there for several days. Returning home, the father asked the son, "Did you like the trip?" "It was great, Dad," the boy replied. The father said, "Did you notice how poor and unhappy those people were?" Well, yes, I did," said the boy. The father asked his son to tell in more detail about his trip and what were the impressions. "Well, we have only one dog, and they have 4 of them. In our garden, there is a pool. Well, they have a river that has no end. We've got expensive lanterns, but they have stars above their heads at night. We have a concrete patio, and they have the whole horizon. We have only a small piece of land, while they have the endless fields around them. We buy our food. They grow theirs. We have high fences for protection of our property, and they don't need it, as their friends protect them." The father was very stunned. He could not say a word. Then the boy added, "Thank you, Dad, for letting me see how poor and unhappy we are." This story shows true happiness and is not the material things. Happiness is love, is friendship, and is freedom. And again, from a boy's lips. And I think in a consciousness, especially of a child or a young person that has not been tainted by what the world says should make you happy. I just love that story. I just love that story because it's very genuine. It's a very genuine. That's the happiness I'm talking about. It's a happiness that loves its community. It's a happiness that loves other individuals, that respects the planet in which we live in. And from a very famous truth, you probably don't think of him as a metaphysician, but I think he was. This is Uncle Milton Berle. He said, "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door." And I'm here to tell you this morning, if you do not feel that you really have the right understanding of happiness, I'd invite you, as Uncle Milton would say, to build a door right where you are. Create your own happiness right now. There is only one God. There's only one good. There's only one presence. There's only one happiness. Let's claim it. Let's get back to happy. Our perception of life and its events are the only reason we see anything. All the appearances and circumstances of our life can be seen through the healing lens of happiness. Let's get back to happy. Let's claim this happiness. And when I say being happy, I'm not talking about a phony happy. I'm not talking about having a bad situation or a cake that's not good and you just put new frosting on it. I'm not talking about the house is on fire and we just say, we'll go back to bed, I'll see you in the morning. I'm talking about a happiness that is genuine, that truly is rooted in our solar plexus, that we feel it, that we know it, and that we can share it and we can claim it. So what happens, again, is when we find divine happiness, there's a shift in our perception. We go from fear to unconditional happiness. Unconditioned happiness. Are you willing to tap into that type of divine idea? That's the happiness that I'm speaking about this morning. Because when you're in that happiness, that is the happiness that brings miracles into our life. Not only in our bodies, not only into all our relationships, but also our billfolds. Again, a truth practice can get us back to our happy zones. Do you live in troubled zones? Do you live in frustration zones? Or you can truly live this morning, go forth, living in happy zones. And from the New Testament, this is the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 11. "Why do you stand here looking into the sky? Happiness is not outside of us. Happiness is something from within." We're always looking outside for something. We need to go within. Happiness is an inside job. And if you have found your own indwelling Christ, I'm going to let you in on a powerful truth secret, that Christ within you is happy. That Christ within you is happy. Use this happiness. Use this flow of energy in all your affairs. It'll change your life. It'll change your morning. It'll change this Sunday. This will be a different Sunday. It'll be a happy Sunday. So again, are you prepared truly to follow truth from a happy lens? Emily Cady wrote Lessons in Truth from a Happy Place. Charles Fillmore, Papa Charlie, wrote Christian Healing from a Happy Place. We need to live in that happy place. So don't simply look heavenward for some outside power that's going to come or some ET that's going to land on a spaceship and give you some wisdom. Let's look for our own mountaintop experiences and our own soul this morning. Our own soul, we deserve them. We have a right to find these divine ideas of happiness. We have a right to define, not only to define happiness, but find out where they are and use them. So the next truth step, I would encourage you to embrace your happy Christ nature. And also, when you have found your happy nature, you go forth and you serve humanity. You show up in absolute love and joyousness. You live from a state of joy. Some ways to get back to happy. We can get back to happy by feeling confident. We need to feel energetic. We need to feel connected, clear-headed, courageous, comfortable in our own skin. A truly happy true student is someone who is comfortable not only in their own soul, but also in their own skin. You happy? Are you truly happy? That's the vibration we're talking about this morning. Also means that we're free from toxic relationships. We are propelled by this happy force, this sense within us, because when you're happy, it gives us a divine purpose. We become secure that we are creative geniuses, and we live in that zone. We are driven by truly the dreams that we can dream and the dreams that we can manifest, the dreams that we can actualize right here and right now. We're awakened. Are you awake? You awake this morning? Are you awake to the power of divine happiness? See, we all have this happiness within us, but it's slumbering. It's too focused on outside circumstances. It's time to wake up and be happy. And from Viktor Frankl, he became a very famous psychologist, but also he is known because he was in a concentration camp during World War II. He also has great wisdom, and he says, the greatest drive in human life is meaning, the deepest need of the human heart. I am here to tell you the greatest drive, the greatest meaning that we're going to have in our life is to know that we're the Christ. And we need to know the happy Christ presence within each and every one of us. If we're not willing to make happiness a daily ritual in our lives, we're not going to have it. We're not going to experience it. Outside things do not make people happy. It's an inside job. We need to tap into the reservoir of pure happiness energy within us and allow it to flow. Open those dams, open the floodgates, and allow it truly to illumine our life and affairs. We don't actually want to do the happy work. Do you want to do the happy work? Maybe you need to. Maybe you need to revisit it. We all need to. I'd like to share a thought from you, and this is from Robert Schuller, famous for this Crystal Cathedral. And he says, quote, unchain your imagination, let this God-given power within you go free. I'd like to change even that quote this morning to unchain your happiness. Let this God-given power within you go free. I am here to tell you, if you are truly living and using the divine idea of imagination and imagining the life that you have come to live, if it is not rooted in absolute happiness, then you're not using really the gift of what imagination can do for any of our lives. We need to imagine, but we also need to imagine in absolute happiness, because it creates good vibrations within us and it inspires us. We need to be more optimistic, maybe. How optimistic are you? We need to be dialed into a higher understanding of truth. And I'm talking about this idea of divine happiness. It's not some elusive idea. It's something that we can claim and use. Tony Robbins says, your past does not equal your future. So let's dust off any frustration or anger or anything in our past that has held us back, and let's reclaim our future starting this morning, this Sunday. Let's make this day the day that we start living happy. We start living from a zone of absolute happiness, seeing our life absolutely different. And when we do this, we can not only be happy, but we believe that happiness is our birthright, but we're also open to receive it. So we need to be happy, we need to believe in the power of happiness, but we also need to be able to receive it. If you're not willing to receive it, you're not going to truly get the benefits of a truth understanding of divine happiness. And again, a truth practice gets us back to happy. And I keep saying that affirmation. Your daily truth practice should bring you back to this happy zone. When you read the daily word, when you're done and you close that daily word book, you should be happy. If you're not, read it again. Maybe read it 3 times. Maybe read it 4 times. Maybe read it all day long. Because each one of those daily words should put you in the zone of this happiness which I'm speaking about. A very famous New Thought teacher from the early 1900s was William Walker Atkinson, and he was very influential with not only Ernest Holmes, but also Charles Fillmore and also Emma Curtis Hopkins. And he shares this powerful wisdom with us this morning. Spirit is in us, and we are in spirit. And in that knowledge, there is the sense of absolute security. I'm here to tell you the happiness, the idea of divine happiness brings us security. right here and right now. Not a financial security, that comes, but I'm talking about being secure in our own incarnation, that we truly are divine. So let's let all the unhappiness roll away, and let's claim, let's truly start walking the path step by step this morning, this Sunday, and living from this happy place. Because when we do, we don't have all those negative feelings around us anymore. We're not dialed into those channels. Or when we see things that make us unhappy, we don't get connected to it. We're not magnetized to it. We rise up. We see what's going on. We don't have blinders, but we don't allow it to drag us down to that Adamic vibration that only sees duality of good versus evil, always fighting. So in closing this morning, I'd like to say, your truth practice should bring you back to absolute happiness. Remember, we are 100% beyond Christ worthy. You are worthy. We are all worthy. Again, divine happiness is a stress-free life. How would you like to have a life that is stress-free? Pray about the word divine happiness. And if you have some struggles with that, give me a call, or we can have a counseling session, or I can refer you to some great truth books that can help you and I both remember the power of this happiness that truly allows us to live a stress-free life. And again, our eternal soul's vision is pure divine happiness. So this morning, I invite you to get happy, to be happy, and allow your beingness truly to be happiness, because happiness is a divine idea whose time has come. Let's claim it this morning, and let's live happy. Thank you, and God bless. This is the time in our service where we have the opportunity to share our love offerings, our gifts, or our tithes. And I invite you to take whatever your gift may be, that energy, and I invite you, if you're not using something with your hands right now, just put your hands together anyway. And know that it's God's substance, God energy. And you can go to unityway.com. We have our mailing address there, or you can do an electronic donation. And I want to say thank you so much for all the individuals that have used and continue to send in their tithes and love offerings and their gifts, because SDG&E and the Vista Irrigation, they still love us because they're still sending us bills regularly, which is all good, because as we pay those bills, it pays, and that's how the ripple effect goes. That's what prosperity is, in the law of circulation. So again, whatever your gift may be, I invite you to hold it in your hands. Take a deep, happy breath and affirm with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. And we just say, thank you, God. And we know it to be true. And we know it goes forth to not only bless us, but also to bless you and your loved ones. So again, thank you so much. And now our prayer of protection. And I'd like to dedicate this prayer to each and every one of us who are listening to this video this morning, but also to everyone in our country, and really all the individuals of the world, and also to the planet in which we live and breathe and have our being. And know that we need to remember that we truly are protected, and that we truly live and have a right to live in this divine idea of happiness. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And I am here to tell you, all is well when we truly live from a consciousness of pure happiness. Thank you. Have a happy Sunday, and God bless.